There's a story that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. It starts last year with a brilliant engineer in Kigali. This engineer built an AI agent, and it was incredible. It could diagnose cassava disease better than any model coming out of Silicon Valley. Truly groundbreaking stuff. But he kept it a secret. He was afraid, afraid someone would swoop in and steal his idea. And for 8 long months, that powerful tool helped just one single village, his village. Then something changed. He joined a builder circle in Nairobi. He decided to connect. And what happened next is, well, it's everything. Within just 3 weeks, his model was being adapted for maize in Uganda, for sorghum in Tanzania, and for millet in Malawi. And today, that same model, born from a secret, now serves 50,000 farmers. That story, right there, that is the power of what I call the final phase of mastery, joining the builder ecosystem. Because here's the truth we're going to unpack. Mastery isn't about building alone in the dark. It's about building together in the light. So in this explainer, we are going to tackle this crucial shift, moving from the isolation of your own keyboard to the incredible, just exponential power of community. All right, let's really dive into this story for a minute because it's so important. I want you to truly try and picture this engineer. This person is brilliant, they're dedicated, and they've created something genuinely remarkable, a tool that could literally protect the livelihood of their entire community. I mean, it's a massive breakthrough. But what's his first instinct? It's not to go out and celebrate. It's not to share the good news. It's fear. It's this gut instinct to hide his work, to build a wall around his creation. And you got to ask yourself, where does that come from? Well, it comes from a myth that is so deeply embedded in our culture, as builders, as technologists, and that's the myth of the lone genius. You know the one. The idea that all great innovation happens in some secret lab and that the world is just this zero-sum game where someone else gets a win, that means you must have lost. This engineer was operating from a place of scarcity, totally worried that sharing his idea would somehow diminish its value, or his own. And look, it's an understandable fear. We've all felt it. But it is also a profound trap. It's a trap that ends up limiting your vision, stunting your own growth, and maybe worst of all, absolutely crippling your impact. And this right here perfectly quantifies the cost of that fear. I mean, just look at the numbers. For 8 months, working all by himself, the impact was confined to just one village, a single dot on the map. But then look at what happens in just 3 weeks of collaboration. 3 weeks! The impact just explodes across the entire region. The timeline doesn't just speed up, it completely shatters the old one. His cassava model? It's not just a cassava model anymore. It's become a foundation, a starting point for something much bigger. Another builder over in Uganda sees it and has that aha moment, saying, wait a second, I bet I can adapt this for maize. Then someone in Tanzania sees the code and applies it to sorghum. This isn't just a simple collaboration. It's a chain reaction of innovation. And the result? 50,000 farmers. This just brilliantly illustrates that the real value of an idea isn't in hoarding it. It's in the connections that idea creates. His model became infinitely more valuable the very moment he decided to give it away. So, this brings us to the crucial point, the real heart of the matter. We spend so much of our time as engineers, as builders, trying to master the technical side of things, right? We're learning new frameworks, we're optimizing algorithms, we're fine-tuning models until our eyes glaze over. And we believe, deep down, that the path to mastery is just a steeper and steeper technical climb. And look, that's part of the journey. Of course it is. But it is not the end of the journey. The final, and I would argue most impactful phase of mastery is relational. It's about mastering the art of connection, of communication, of building trust with other human beings. It's about recognizing that your code, no matter how elegant or brilliant it is ultimately incomplete without context, without feedback, without other people to challenge it, to improve it, and to carry it to places you could never, ever reach on your own. True mastery, the kind that leaves a legacy, is realizing that your greatest project isn't the code you write, it's the community you build around that code. We have this saying, and it's really become a core philosophy for us. No agent is an island, no engineer either. And this really works on 2 different levels. First, on a purely technical level, we're moving fast into an era of multi-agent systems. This is where AI agents are specifically designed to collaborate and work together to solve incredibly complex problems. The old idea of a single monolithic AI is proving to be way less effective than a whole network of specialized communicating agents. But, the metaphor goes so much deeper than that. The exact same thing is true for us, the builders. The challenges we're trying to solve with AI in healthcare and agriculture and climate, they are just too big, too complex for any one person to tackle alone. To actually believe you can build world-changing, responsible AI all by yourself, well, it's about as naive as believing that a single neuron can somehow constitute a brain. It just doesn't work that way. So, this all brings us to the core question, doesn't it? We've talked about the problem with isolation, and we've seen the incredible power of community. But let's get really specific. If you make the decision to engage with this builder ecosystem, what are the tangible benefits you can actually expect? How does it actually multiply your force as a builder? Because this isn't just about feeling good or being part of a team. The benefits are concrete, they're strategic, and I promise you, they will fundamentally change the way you build. So, let's break down the 4 key ways the ecosystem acts as your force multiplier.
Okay, let's really unpack these one by one. First up, faster learning. We're not talking about textbook learning here. This is real-time applied learning. You get to learn from everyone's mistakes, not just your own. Imagine, someone in your circle spends a whole week debugging some tricky integration. They finally solve it, they share the solution, and just like that, you save yourself that entire week of frustration. Your learning curve becomes a collective one, and it just accelerates dramatically. Second, better tools. The temptation for any smart engineer is to build everything from scratch. The ecosystem cures you of this. You learn to reuse, not reinvent. This frees up your precious cognitive energy to focus on the truly unique, novel part of the problem you're trying to solve. Third, and this one is absolutely critical, ethical accountability. When you build alone, you are trapped by your own biases, your own blind spots. You can't see what you can't see. An ecosystem provides invaluable peer review. People with different backgrounds, different life experiences will see potential harms in your work that you completely missed. It's a vital safeguard that catches biases before they get baked into a system that affects thousands or even millions of lives. And finally, collective resilience. Let's be honest, building anything meaningful is hard. It's a grind. In isolation, a single failure can feel crushing, like the end of the world. In a community, that same failure is just a learning opportunity for the whole group. When one person stumbles, others are there to lift them up, to offer advice, and to remind you that this journey is a marathon, not a sprint.
This all really boils down to a single core principle. Isolation breeds fragility, but community breeds excellence. Let me give you a perfect example of this. We were building an agent in Nairobi that was designed to give some basic health advice. The engineers on the team, they thought it was great. We took it to a local builder circle just to get some feedback. And a grandmother who was there listened to it, and then she said something so simple yet so profound. She just said, "This doesn't sound like a nurse." And that one piece of feedback, it was like a thunderbolt. It hit us so hard. We had optimized for technical correctness, for factual accuracy, but we had completely missed the human element. The agent lacked empathy. It lacked warmth. Because of her feedback, we completely redesigned the agent's conversational flow. And the result? User adoption and effectiveness improved by 40%. 40! Not from a better algorithm, not from more data, but from this simple, profound wisdom of a grandmother in the community. That right there is the difference between fragility and excellence. So, by now, you probably understand the why. The next logical question is, of course, the how. How do you actually connect? It can feel pretty intimidating to just join the ecosystem. Where do you even start? So what I want to do now is give you a practical, actionable framework. We call it the 4-layer builder ecosystem. I want you to think of it like a map that shows you how to start right where you are in your local community and then gradually expand your connections out to a global scale. Let's break down this path step by step. We always start at layer 1, local builder circles. This is your foundation. This is where it all begins. We're talking about the meetups in your city, the workshops, the places where you build high-trust in-person relationships over a shared meal or a coffee. From there, you expand to layer 2, open-source communities. This is your digital tribe. These are the global communities built around incredible tools like LangChain or Hugging Face, where you can contribute your own skills and learn from some of the world's best builders. Then comes layer 3, global standards. Now we're getting more strategic. Protocols like A2A, which stands for agent-to-agent communication, are literally defining how AI systems will interact with each other in the future. By joining these working groups, you're not just using the tools anymore, you're shaping the fundamental architecture of the next generation of AI. And finally, we have layer 4, ethics and governance networks. This is, in many ways, the conscience of the entire ecosystem. Organizations like Black in AI or the Responsible AI Institute, RAII, are where we have the crucial debates about how this technology should and must serve humanity. The most effective builders I know, they engage with all 4 of these layers. This is how sovereign, impactful AI gets built, not in silos, but grown in networks. Now, I want to take a moment and speak directly to the builders in Africa and in other emerging markets around the world. For far too long, the narrative has been about catching up to Silicon Valley, catching up to the West. And I am here today to tell you that this narrative is fundamentally wrong. It is disempowering, and frankly, it's a lie. Our role on the global AI ecosystem is not to be followers. Our role is to lead. And so this is the African Builders Manifesto. It's a declaration that our unique contexts, our unique constraints, and our unique values are not disadvantages. They are, in fact, our greatest strengths. Let's just look at the two competing mindsets for building AI that exist today. On one hand, you have the chasing scale mindset, which is dominant in places like Palo Alto. This mindset is obsessed with bigger models, bigger datasets, bigger compute, just bigger. And while these models are absolutely incredible technological achievements, this approach often completely ignores local contexts. It assumes a world where everyone has high-speed internet and high-end devices. But then there's another way. It's the leading with wisdom mindset, and it's emerging from incredible innovation hubs like Nairobi, Kigali, and Lagos. This isn't about being bigger. It's about being smarter, more relevant, more connected to real human needs. It focuses on frugal solutions like small language models, SLMs, that can actually run on a $50 phone in a local language like Luya. It focuses on sovereign solutions where users actually own and control their own data. And it focuses on communal solutions, which are co-designed from day one with the very people who will actually use them. This is not a lesser form of AI. This is a more advanced, a more resilient, and a far more human-centered form of AI.
So how do you practically lead with wisdom? It comes down to 3 key actions. First, start sharing your constraints as innovations. The fact that you have to build an agent that works completely offline, or that it has to function over a USSD menu, that's the basic text messaging service on feature phones, that is not a bug. That is a brilliant feature that is desperately needed by billions of people around the world. Document it, blog about it, and share it. Second, translate global tools into your local contexts. Take a powerful model from a global platform, but then fine-tune it, adapt it, make it speak the local language, understand the local culture, make it relevant to your community. And third, and this is maybe the most important of all, demand ethical inclusion at the global table. There's a powerful quote that says, "If African voices aren't at the table is broken." Your voice is not optional, it is essential. You have the power and the responsibility to fix the broken table.
So my challenge to you is this. Don't just be a passive consumer in all of this. Don't just download the models and use the APIs and call it a day. The real challenge, the real opportunity is to become an active contributor, a shaper of the ecosystem itself. Think about it. When you fix a bug in LangChain and submit a pull request, you are shaping the ecosystem. When you share a new African language dataset on Hugging Face, you are shaping the ecosystem. When you take the leap and start a local AI meetup in your city, you are shaping the ecosystem. The future of Agentic AI will not be written in Palo Alto alone. It will be co-authored in Nairobi, in Kigali, in Lagos, in Bogota, in Bangalore, and in every single place where builders are choosing to lead with wisdom. So go build. Go create amazing things. But then come back and bring others with you. Because in the end, the most powerful AI isn't going to be the one with the biggest model or the most parameters. It's the one built by the wisest community, the one that reflects our collective intelligence, our collective empathy, and our collective hope for a better future. If this message resonated with you today and you want to continue this journey, there are 3 simple things you can do right now. 1, hit that like button below. It really does tell the algorithm that this content matters and helps others find it. 2, subscribe and hit the bell for our upcoming series on this very topic. And 3, check out our last explainer on what a real AI engineer actually does day to day. Thanks for watching. Think deeper, build wiser, and lead with courage.